Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, shall we? The first story is called "They said stop, so I stopped." I work in a manufacturing facility as part of a separate R&D group. Generally, I don't do manufacturing. But my manager gets requests for me to do work for the plant from time to time when my or the machine's utilization is lower than the plant's and they need a push. At the end of last year, I was told I had a job from the plant, just a small amount of overflow they couldn't handle, around 13 pieces. Now, for context, 13 is like 6 months worth of deliverable product for this particular job. 1 to 3 a month from us to the customer. Working in batches of 3 to 4, it can take up to 2 weeks of work to get those pieces off my plate. Multiple machines, iterative processing with metrology in between to make sure I'm hitting the tolerances exactly. I've had issues in the past with the plant management not being clear on what the expectations are. And I've steadily been getting more responsibilities from my own boss as I've grown into my position. Not to mention that we are 2 weeks out from the Christmas holiday shutdown. Most of the plant will be off for like 10 days and I'll be on vacation, not giving a single care about work. So to make sure we are all on the same page, I call a meeting about the job with the fabrication manager, 2 of the shift supervisors and my boss. These are essentially all the people looking to me to get the job done. I have 3 specific requests before I start the jobs. It is the plant management's and supervisor's responsibility to let me know the due dates for the parts. Expectations are like, we need 2 for January, 3 for February, 1 for March, and so on. And it's their job to tell me this with proper lead time, at least 2 weeks, but ideally more, so I can work them into my other duties. I have my own responsibilities that have to come first, so if they want parts from me, they have to give me proper heads up that they need them. I don't work for the plant, and I really don't have time to check in every week to see if they think they'll need parts in the coming weeks. If I don't hear from them, the assumption is they are either ahead on the end of the same job or don't need the parts from me right now, so I won't be processing them. I spoke to my boss ahead of time about these expectations and he wholeheartedly agreed. We are doing them a favor and he has things he wants me to do for our milestones. Everyone agrees in the meeting and the main supervisor said up front we need 4 for January. Great, I had a couple of weeks before Christmas and a clean plate, so I was able to pump out 6 parts. Half the job was done and over with before I left for my vacation. I was pleased with myself. Of course, I worked until December 23rd and nobody was in the plant to receive the parts. But I came back in January feeling great, ready to hand off more than enough to cover them for their due dates through February. The first day back, I'm told the plant cannot accept the parts from me. They are backed up and I need to hold them until they can release them to the next team for post-processing. Until then, they are in a holding pattern with no idea when they'll need them. Cue malicious compliance. I flat out say okay, but I worked hard to get these parts they had to have by January. And I am not going to churn out more products until they take the stuff I already finished. I have my own job to do. So now I have 7 parts completely untouched. Well, it's mid-April and they only took 4 of the first 6 parts from me like a week ago. I haven't touched the other 7 in months and nobody has come to me asking when they'll be done or indicating they need them by a specific date. I'm going on vacation next week and have a deadline to meet for my department. I just got asked by a different shop floor supervisor asking me where the other parts are. The guy wasn't in the original meeting and I feel bad for him because they sent him my way knowing I wasn't going to have the parts or be willing to comply instantly. My response was that I have 2 parts waiting on release to the plant and none of the others are even close to ready. Before he could even try to lean on me to get a few more done, I reminded him I don't work for him or the plant. I'm completely outside his management structure as a whole and I have my own work to do. He'll get his 2 parts and then we'll have to renegotiate after I come back from my vacation. The next story is called "Felt Great." Many years ago, when I was at university, I got a summer job renovating squash courts. The company was basically the boss, a van containing all the required equipment and me and my friend Rod. He had started to work for John, the boss, first. He needed another guy, recommended me and boom, I was in. It wasn't a bad job for a summer job. We traveled around the UK working on squash courts. We'd either paint them, which requires scaffolding so we could repaint the lines. The white paint we'd do with really long roller poles. Or we used pneumatic hammers to remove the front wall or rub up the floors. In the latter two cases, the boss would then employ skilled subcontractors to replace the floor or wall. So the work was basically unskilled but pretty physical. The pay was good for a student, and we got to drive around the country in a van, stay in cheap hotels, which seemed pretty glamorous at the time, and go out for beers most nights plus save cash for my next term. It was a sweet deal. The boss was pretty posh for someone with such a small business. Maybe he had others, or maybe this paid really well. I don't know, but he lived in a huge house in an expensive part of town, drove a Jaguar, his kids went to private school and they called him Pater. He was okay, but a bit of a jerk. One Friday we'd got up early in one town, worked flat out to finish our job, driven 2 hours to the next one, got set up for that and then broke for lunch. Because we were new in this town, we set out to find a fish and chip shop. Staying in hotels obviously meant we couldn't make lunch to take in. It took a while to find one, and when we did, they were just cooking some fresh chips, so we had to wait to be served. So we did, ate them and went back. We'd been gone for about 50 minutes. When we got there, John was there. He'd come to make sure that we had arrived okay, this was pre-mobile, and that everything was going as planned. He wanted to know where we had been. Lunch, we told him. But we'd been gone for over 40 minutes, he said. So we explained. He said that wasn't good enough. We said that we'd start work early, driven 2 hours, had to find a place, wait for the chips and such. We were working hard and that this, A, wasn't our fault and B, wasn't unreasonable. He told us that if that was the kind of attitude we had, then maybe we shouldn't be working for him. He then left. We finished the job and repacked the van. It contained scaffolding, pneumatic drills, painting equipment and so on. It had to be packed like Tetris to make sure it was organized and accessible. We took turns opening the door, the other one chucking stuff in and then slamming it shut before it all fell out. We drove back to John's where we left the van when based at home. We collected our pay and handed him the keys. "See you Monday for the Bracknell job," he said. "Oh no, sorry," we said, we had new jobs on Monday. We actually had. Rod and I were both lifeguards and had caught some contacts and got pool work for the following week. It was not good and didn't last long, but hey, I was a student and didn't care much. But, I don't understand," said John. "Well, you said that if we had an attitude as we did at lunchtime, then maybe we shouldn't work for you." "We do, and so we don't." And with that, we left, and it felt great. The last story is called "Don't Want Me to Train My Replacement?" I used to work as the dedicated inventory guy for a tire and wheel store that dealt in only that. It was a big chain. All their guys were black, not by choice, even on the most blistering of days. Nearly 10 years working there, and I was the only one handling their 5,000 to 7,500 tires, along with several hundred wheels, nuts, bolts, tire lube and replacement parts. Basically, I organized the entire store in terms of what was bought, sold and used. I received most shipments, whether a single tire by FedEx or our 2 times a week shipment of 400 to 800 units. Not something I knew for a long time, but my job technically was listed as a 3-person rotating task. I did it all myself. The manager I worked with for most of those 10 years was very happy and supportive of me, trying to make sure I was taken care of if I needed help. Unfortunately, the company underwent plenty of bad changes after the owner of the whole chain passed away. It shifted from a family thing to a profit and micromanagement thing. My great manager was stressed and went from great to not so great. I won't deny I got pretty upset with a few things from him, but it was just the situation didn't favor him. Ultimately, he was transferred to an administrative position to finish out until retirement, and we got a new manager and lots of extra salary salesmen. I was left on inventory, as everyone confirmed I was the only guy for the job that knew anything. They tried giving me newbies to learn the ropes, but I only got a couple of days with them before they were pulled for more important things. Eventually they gave up caring and figured I would do inventory for the foreseeable future. Well, the end of 2018 came with me looking for other opportunities. It wasn't entirely because of the shift at work, but doing a 3-person job after 10 years was starting to take its toll on my back. I started at about 20 and was getting close to 30. I can't deny, I was getting kinda scared that I would do something irreparable to my bag that would stick with me forever. They pulled equipment I needed to do better without straining myself more, made the process of pulling inventory more bureaucratic and lengthy without need for it, and would keep trying to limit my time doing things but expect the same results. They also kept resisting my plans to reorganize stock because brands don't always need the same amount of space. That major brand that did really well 3 years ago and taking up 1,000 tires worth of space only takes up 400 now. But hey, I have this brand that did an overhaul and we used to carry barely 250 for them. Now we are ordering hundreds of them weekly with a need for 750 units of space. So their stock unable to fit in one place but a huge gap in another I can fill. I'm sure some of you can understand that you don't start shoving items from the wrong brand into a gap because there's space there, use it. As I'm in the final weeks of my lovely tenure there, I've been training for the new job for about 6 weeks. They had plenty of warning to replace my position. I reminded them they should find someone I can give the rundown to before it's too late. My new management, as well as 2 salesmen I never liked, tell me in very businessy and polite terms, just do your job and let us worry about it. I try to be nice about it because while I don't get well on with the salesman, I love my fellow service techs in the back. I then realized that it really is their problem, not mine. Cue the malicious compliance. I found a lovely time when all 3 of my most concerning resistors were away. 2 were on meetings with corporate for 2 or 3 days. 1 was on vacation for the rest of the week. This was great as it was my last week as well. I reorganized the whole place to my OCD specs. I wanted everything to fit. I wanted everything perfectly presentable. I did it my way and got everything in. To note, some years, especially in peak winter with lots coming in, we got so overstocked we couldn't fit everything all at once, which also was because of them not letting me deal with it efficiently. I took care of that overstock and fit it all in. Brands were moved and notes left. I let all my favorite coworkers who pulled my inventory the most know what's up. They adapted instantly because it's really not that hard. Just remember, the salt is in the pantry now, not next to the stove. I was commended on my effort and thanked for doing that before leaving. However, I knew what was coming. No, not from the guys who didn't want my organization methods. By not replacing me, or at least covering what I've been doing for 10 years, well, imagine it like giving someone a nice, clean and well-working car that they never maintained because it was always taken care of. I started my new job and got paid almost double. A couple of months in, I started getting calls from former coworkers. Apparently, they never really tried to replace me at all. Things fell apart. Tires were shoved into the racks with no regard for where they belonged. If there was space, fill it. After 3 months, I heard 3 long-time employees walked out because the lack of organization was destroying their bay times for dealing with cars, leading to a domino fall of stressful work environment stuff. It took an average of 15 minutes at our store to deal with most things on one car. However, I was told it was taking that long just to find the units needed after pulling the car in. Sometimes they gave up and tried to have it to another nearby store to find their tires, thinking they had an inventory error. Obviously, that level of delay and inefficiency made the managers angry at those they blamed. Service techs usually got the heat. I wish I could say there were more juicy details about the aftermath, but at a certain point all my ears in that store left. I feel like that's enough said in and of itself. One bit that came about the 4 or 5 month mark after I left though, one of the managers called me on my personal phone. They asked how I was doing and wondered if my new job was working out. I was very happy and energetically told them how great I felt in my new job. He inquired whether I might be interested in helping out at the store again. I declined. Now, I'm not the best at reading people, but this person seemed so lost in their tone that I can only guess they had so little luck in finding a replacement for what I did. I'm far more appreciated now in my new job. The thing that made me feel a little bad, but also goodish, is that my former coworkers agreed that when I left was when things started to get terrible. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button. Have a great day. Bye bye.